Okay, welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. Look at this and look at who I'm with here, my buddy Kirsten Gay.
Hi.
We are looking at some of your extraordinary cats and other animals, right? All great buddies. Now, these rugs really, for me, and we're going to look at them one by one, but they really kind of demonstrate, personify your style, like where you've gotten to, what they have in common. And this is the third in a series of videos we're doing, so this is worth watching all of the series. We are talking about specific things that we feel are unique to Kirsten's work. Color placement, color choices, contrast storytelling, and for you, atmosphere is a huge part of it. We just did a video where we were looking at rugs that were challenge rugs. And this was a crossover rug, so it was hard to choose where to put this. But we put this in with the cat and animal video. This was indeed the Van Gogh challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So with this challenge, you could make it any size you wanted to make it. But there was the free chair, which I believe is still there at Ribbon Candy Hooking, if you want to do the Van Gogh chair. All of these hung up in Hartford when this exhibit was happening 2 or 3 years ago, right? Yeah. So this has crossover interest because it's both one of your cat rugs, right? It's very signature style, but it was also one of the challenges. So looking at this rug, what are some of your favorite things about it?
My favorite things about it, I have two main things.
Yep.
One, I think the blue on the walls is just gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
I just love how the materials play with each other. I just love it.
Oh, you're right about that. Let me just come in here because it's a lot of different materials.
Right. And they're kind of like woven closely together.
And this side is a little more turquoise, then this side is a little more like of an alpine blue.
Yeah. And I was looking at the original painting. So this is the colors, kind of the best I can do to show them with the stash that I have at this moment. That gets that feel again of the wall, because he's painting in strokes. And what I did with this is I decided I wanted to literally try to use the wool to replicate the sense of strokes. So when you look down here, there are some of these lines, and why they're crazy is they're going like this was painted this way.
I see.
And this was painted this way, and this was painted this way.
There was some directional painting, and you wanted to emulate it with directional hooking.
Right. So exactly. Thank you. So all of the background is all up and down. So this is all hooked up and down.
You know, this is so you, because when you look at it, it just seems one side is a bit turquoise, this side is a bit lighter, and then you look closer, and it is like a universe of color. And throughout, not just here, but the chair as well. This is a yellow chair, right? So this was Van Gogh's chair in his little living sort of accommodation. He had a painted yellow chair, right? And that was the whole point of the challenge. But you have managed to put so much color into this yellow chair, so many bronzes. It lifts it so much toward the actual painting.
I would like to tell you that is my idea, but it's not. If you slow down and look at all the strokes, these are as close as I can get matches. If you look at like the edge of this chair, it's dark green, it's brown, it's dark green again.
So this is Van Gogh.
This is Van Gogh. This chair, it's red, then it goes to a lighter green, and then goes back to red, and then there's some bits of blue. Now you get to a bright blue over here. Now we're back to brown. Now, like this is one outline of one chair. So and this was a huge learning thing for me. I think we're finding I'm a little obsessed with outlines, but it's red over here, it's light blue over here, it's light blue over here, and then it's a bright green, and it somehow comes to green. And then if you look at the tiles, these are red terracotta tiles. They are not painted red. They are painted green and this color. Yeah. And sometimes they're deep red, but there's a lot of green in how he's painted these tiles.
So interesting, because when you look at it from a distance, it's a blue room with a yellow chair. And as you say, I mean, when you study, I mean, he's an Impressionist painter, right? But he lives in isolation for much of his life. So he also teeters on pointillism, which is a branch of Impressionism. But it's exactly what you're describing. It's Impressionism in general relies on the viewer to blend the colors.
Right.
and specifically pointillism, because it's literally unblended dashes of color. It's an optical trick, and you're supposed to come in close to it, like Kirsten just did for us, and you're supposed to blend it with your eye, standing back. It doesn't work close up. Is this the leg of a chair? It doesn't look like the leg of a chair, but it is the leg of a chair.
And if you get quite far from it,
Yeah.
it's absolutely crystal clear what it is.
Absolutely. With all of those nuances. But what you're saying is with this particular piece, and this is a blessing, you can actually go into the Van Gogh painting so closely that all of this information is in it.
Yes.
So you're just following the connecting the dots.
To the best of my ability with the wool at hand.
That's amazing. Let's talk about the cat.
Okay.
Because that is, with this challenge, it's a chair in a room, right? And the cat is what you added to make this, composition different. So this is a cat because you love cats and you have cats. And he worked so successfully sitting on the chair, right? Color-wise, he works great. Blue eyes, blue whiskers are bringing us to the other edges of the piece.
Yep.
I mean, he is masterful because he's just a little dumpling sitting on the chair, isn't he? He's not a big motif.
No.
And he's not the main motif. Usually the living thing is the main motif. It really is the chair in this piece, isn't it? Because most people recognize Van Gogh's chair. He's kind of the supporting actor, right? He's like the sidekick.
And he's got another sidekick. There's actually two
Oh my
cats.
God, he does have another sidekick. Oh my
cats.
God, look at that face. More blue whiskers. Yeah, two little sidekicks.
They were hard to do because the angles,
Oh yeah.
how to get the cat to look like he was sitting on the chair.
Oh God, I bet.
It was hard.
And not just, floating. Oh, you did a great job. It is a really fantastic piece. And this segues us into, which piece should we look at next?
Well, this one's right here.
Yep, let's do it. So this is your style. This is what we have come, I'm sorry, I'm just fussing with that. This is what we have come to know as your style. And it is so distinctive. Now, this piece, you relied heavily on what was already there, right? And you put your own twist on it without a doubt. This piece is all you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go into this one. This one is called...
Singing in the Garden.
Okay, yep. And this one has so another cat portrait, right? And let me show you close up. As always with your pieces, from a distance, right? Same as with the chair, it reads very easily. When you come in, you see all of the elbow grease, right? All of this work and the experimenting with 2 loops here, 1 loop here, experimenting with the placement of these, these colors that function as contour and contrast. When you come in, you see that's the hard work. And I'm guessing you had to pull some of this stuff out again and again to get exactly that expression, right?
Well, the only thing I pulled out was this, and this eye didn't work the first time. The rest of it, it just kind of went in.
Yeah.
I might have had more of this. The sari wasn't working as well here.
Yeah.
Because it's got the shine, and it just didn't work the same way as it did in other pieces.
Huh. Well, it's good to know that. And not everybody can do what you do, right? Because that is really hard, getting an eye when it's just off to the side and it looks just right. But it is hard to do that, and it does take practice, and it does take observation, doesn't it? Whatever your original source is, like for you, the cat, it does take just a lot of looking and trying, because this is not instinctive. This is very advanced work. And beautiful piece, major piece of storytelling is the cat. And in the background, this is a real showstopper. All of this vertical feel is like rain. So we're getting a strong vertical directional hooking, right? That is kind of the backdrop, the theatrical curtain behind the cat. And this is so successful. It's just crazy. And again, you're using your same techniques, but you're being very thoughtful with this piece to maintain this direction, right? Because you wanted it to have something falling down. Yeah. And that's, part of the process has to be, when you do stuff that's this artistic and this original, you have to be, you have to sincerely think about what you're doing and make conscious decisions about what you're doing, because you could have easily filled the sky just with blue the way you do in other compositions, right? And it would not have had the feeling of rain, right? It would have been a confusing title because you wouldn't have gotten that vibe, right?
Yeah, it's singing in the garden.
Singing in the garden.
Yeah.
Oh, I added the rain.
You added the rain, which
I'm so
is
sorry.
really interesting. It was actually not my intention, but now I will never unsee it.
I
It looks like rain.
I just layered Gene Kelly onto your cat.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it feels like rain to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Gosh.
I might have to do rain now.
I mean, it seems like the suggestion of, it doesn't seem like a biblical torrential storm. It just seems like the suggestion of, because he is outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really love it. I really love it. And this piece, like all of them, has wild pops of color. Right? This is like a small gauge yarn for you because you've got all of your wool strips present, and then you've got your much bulkier yarn that you're using in the cat, right, and other places. There is something about the combination of like this loosely spun yarn and the smaller gauge yarn, and then these very rigid wool strips, right, milled wool strips. There's something about the combination of it together that is so luscious that I think speaks to all rug hookers.
Yeah.
If you don't hook, you don't know how this feels to look at it. But when you're doing it and when you see it, you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, and maybe, is that these rugs look better on the video, and sometimes looking at them sideways, like at an angle, you can really begin to see the texture. It shows the texture a little more.
Oh yeah, you can see that great. One of the things that you have that you need to work in this style is confidence, right? Once you get going, you just reach for stuff and you plug it in and you know when it's wrong, but it sounds like more likely than not, you figure out how to make pieces work, right? It's a real composite of lots of different materials, and they all perform differently. They look different. They bring different personalities to the piece. But the overall magic of your pieces is that they are cohesive. Like you manage to cobble all of these different materials into one piece, and it's a really strong image.
Right.
That's the magic part.
Right.
That's the part that's hard to describe. The best way, I think, for people to understand your work or to be able to think like, I would like to do something that looks like that, is to look at what the camera is doing right now and just traveling really up close past like the mountains of velvet. And, the landscape is so distinctive. And all of it together is how you get your overall look. But it's really hard to say in words how to do it, isn't it?
Yes. This is why when you talk, you're like, well, you should write about that.
Yeah.
Write what?
I know.
Right.
I say this to Kirsten all the time. Like, we have to write about how you do your style. And it is really hard. You have to look and see. And you have to lock it in and say, okay, I get that. Because you don't agonize about one loop being taller than the other. Right? Like,
no. I do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's very flat, which is beautiful. And I admire people who do that, but I love the texture and I love the kind of roll and how your eye kind of plays around. Like I love, like this is either an incredibly horrible, messy line or incredibly beautiful line, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Right? And this is forced over by the next little piece.
Yeah.
In a slightly different color.
It is had to accommodate.
Yep.
And all this loopy stuff, my God, it's so you. And the color changing stuff. Yeah, you're very confident. You're very brave in your approach, and it gives you this look. Let's look at Wilma.
Yeah, I was thinking Wilma was a natural.
Yeah.
Many of the same colors.
Yep. Much smaller piece. Again, you have managed to get all the same effects in. Wilma, she's unbelievable. You have the rigid loops that are like the water in the distance, right? That is such a contrast to everything else. It's so soft. It's such soft landscape. And the beak, right? And the beak isn't exactly solid. All the color changing in the beak and the way that the loops fit together is just, it gives so much character to her little face.
Yeah, and there's actually 3 different wool yarns in here. There's just something that's like a Briggs and Whittle for the small feathers. Yeah. And then the medium feathers. This is something that's a little bit slubby. It goes in and out. Yeah. And then you have a nice bulky yarn. And that helps her have a face as well.
Yeah. It really does. And you were able to work a little finer in the face, right? Because you're fooling around with the eyes and with that purple, like, trying to make distinct marks in her face without her looking like a cartoon character.
Yeah. This is a piece where it's a great example of letting the yarn do all the work for you.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of Noki?
Nori.
Nori.
Yeah.
So like this is a Nori.
Noro.
This is a Noro yarn. And this is all the same thing, but it being, thoughtful and sort of shifting between the different color sets. This might also be a Noro yarn. This is probably a different set of Noro yarn. This is something else that has a lot of movement in it. And I make it do a lot of the work in this piece.
Yeah. That's a great way to delegate.
It's small, so
it is. It's a small piece.
If you tried like all those little itty bitty things like the singing in the garden, you couldn't do it.
No, there's so much going on there. I mean, that is a much busier composition, but it works. It completely works the same way this does. And really, I wish you didn't say gnocchi because you just made me so hungry for pasta.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. All I need is any word that begins with GN gets me thinking about food. I love how big your loops are up in the sky. It's such your work has such a spontaneous feel to it, and what I'm hearing from you is your trick is to just do it, and to letting the yarn do the work for you. I'm not as good of a hooker as you are. If I sit down with this yarn, I'm thinking, oh, how can I screw this up fast? You know what I mean? But you just have the confidence. You trust that the pieces will perform and to stay in their lane, right? The color stays where you put it, and that it will blend this way. But this is your forte. This is where you are masterful. And she is a beautiful piece. Should we look at this one next?
Yep. This is Two Sleeping Cats. And this has probably the fewest colors of probably anything we're going to look at.
Yeah.
Not that complicated.
But as usual, many colors within one color.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I did this after doing Moonlight, and you can see I learned a little bit about the purples.
Yeah.
And how to work with them.
Yeah, I mean, that looks fabulous. I love how there's like a slant of purple, and there's a slant of blue, and the middle is kind of neutral colors. Right. But you've used a lot of warm colors, as usual, one of your great tricks to do some of the outlining. And that really is important. You've been comfortable here with using the sari, with the very loose spun stuff. It's a real variety of stuff. This is ultra impressionist. Ultra. I mean, all of your pieces are, but this is extra, I think, particularly within the cats. And again, more techniques, right? This is like your skies on past pieces, right? The kind of motion and energy you've got. This is super thoughtful color placement and outline placement. Also, the color changing outline, right, is very key to your work. You don't just outline something in black, right? The color moves as it goes. And lots of different fiber in the two little sleeping bodies. And then with this piece, this very distinctive add-on of this different style of whisker, right, is very eye-catching because it's different. We saw that style of whisker. There's a lot of different style of whisker. How do you feel about the way this one turned out?
This is probably my least favorite, and I love it, and it bugs me. When I first put them on, they were a little tighter, but it's kind of charming. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. And I love how the light purple ones reacted that, and the dark blue reacted that.
Oh, I didn't
so
even realize
you've reversed them.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
You must reverse them. Otherwise, it looks like this one with the blue whiskers would look like his face was transparent. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the flip is really crucial. It reminds me of a playing card. You could just waiting for like the Queen of Diamonds or whatever in the corner. It's such a great composition. It's very simple composition with a very strong diagonal feel to it. And there is something sort of sleepy and sloppy about a diagonal line. And it's perfect to accommodate. The diagonal is a vehicle for these two sleeping cats. It's perfect. Right. They're all cozied up together. The storytelling is right here. It's a very gentle color palette. Another beautiful piece. Really, really different. Different composition, but totally in the same style of you. And should we move to a different animal?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to move to Frisbee Dog. This is another classic piece. You just changed animals here, but this is, I'm not going to do Singing in the Rain again, but I love it. I love the verticals, right? That has such a feel to it because he feels like he's outside. He feels like it's wooded. It reminds me of one of the old cameras that you take a picture and the stuff in the back is out of focus.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that feel. There's some mystery to this piece. He has got such a charming, open, friendly, happy, classic dog face. Different colored eyes because of the materials you chose, right? That's really an interesting touch. You have been very careful with your loops through the muzzle area, and then you get more through the nose into your style.
Yeah,
Different materials.
This is an old silk work shirt.
Oh,
That's the best use for it.
that is perfect. How does it smell? You know those stupid jokes. How does it smell? Yeah, I mean, So before we get into the background, the Frisbee also. This is just a great composition because it has such a vertical orientation. This is the main character, but then this circle adds like such. It's so strong. It really grounds the piece, doesn't it? The amount of color change that's happening in the Frisbee, the fact of the Frisbee being these bright, warm colors, and the background being these more some springy green colors, but a lot of drab browns and greens, is just what you need for the theater, right? The balance. But you've got a lot of your typical materials in here. I'm going to do this again. A big mashup of different things that you have on hand. And then let's get into a conversation on the background because, I mean, a lot of people might look at this and say, oh, it's like a hit or miss background, but it's way more thoughtful than a hit or miss background.
It's not like grabbing out of a bag at all.
No.
You wouldn't get this if you grabbed just straight out of a bag.
No, and you wouldn't get this sort of striation. You wouldn't get this kind of strong graphic vertical if you weren't very careful about darks and lights. Right? If they don't happen often enough, then you've got a confusing background.
Right, but you can't have them too often.
No, you can't. You gotta walk the balance beam. And you've managed to introduce a tremendous, you sneak in colors, right? Your style maybe could be called Sneaky Deaky, maybe. We can maybe come up with something better.
I like Sneaky Deaky.
Well,
we'll find something.
We'll find something more sophisticated because this is very sophisticated hooking. And again, all of these different materials. And I love how you said, because I didn't know this about you until you said it today, that you'd use materials. Like you use what you've got. You don't sit and wait for a purpose for it. Whatever you have, you're going to try to work it in. And that kind of sort of forceful making it happen is part of what gives your style the variety because you're not sitting around being precious waiting for one more green. No. You're like, you pick up the red and the purple.
Yeah, you make the color you need next.
Yeah. And if you put the red with the blue, right, it makes another color there. So we have like a little flash of purple in this corner. Yeah. I mean, it is this optical. Alrighty, well, you can see we are in a different spot. Hey, Kirsten.
Hello.
We had to, the phone shut off, so we went out and had a nice lunch, and we are back in a sunny area. The sun has moved to the other side of the house, and I just wanted to conclude our conversation about Frisbee Dog because he is exceptional, and you remembered that this is taffeta. So that's important. And you also found the yarn that you were using to fill in the background for him.
Yep. So this yarn, which is a handmade yarn in Vermont, is here.
Yeah.
And it's here. And you were talking about the little bits of color, and I was talking about making the yarn do all the work. Well, this is how it's happening, right? We have thick, we have thin, and we have dark and light, all in, but it's all mostly cool with a little bit headed towards warm.
See, that's the way that you put it, let the yarn do the work for you. That is perfect. Because a lot of people would look at that and say, that doesn't look like traditional rug hooking material.
No.
But it is now. As long as you want to do pieces that look like that, this is the material you're looking for.
Right, and this is what it looks like hooked up, right?
Yeah,
it's big, it's big and little, and it has interesting moments like this where you have yellow on top of the blue.
Yeah, I mean, it adds so much interest using a neat fiber like that. So let's move to our next guy. Do you want me to lift that? No. Oh, look who it is.
Sleeping in the garden.
Yep, so this is this size, just so you know, because it's on a larger piece. Sleeping in the garden. What did we use this for? Was this printed in anything yet?
Didn't you just say that it was in the your first book?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was in the Easy. What was my book called? Easy Beautiful. I didn't name it. Easy Beautiful Rag Rugs. Yep. This was in here with the family, under your section.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is another beautiful piece. And again, this is the edge of it, right? Because we've got them stacked a little bit. But this is another beautiful piece, and with sari ribbon prominently used as your outline material. And the whiskers in this one, very different for you, very subtle, right? I mean, that you just went for the pink yarn. Were you trying to give it more of a sleepy look?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just was like, I'm going to make them purple and see what happens.
Oh, I absolutely love it.
I would point out that this is actually your yarn.
Oh, yeah.
This is that.
Oh, yeah. That's that. And that is 3-ply Briggs and Little that I've dyed. And again, your whipping. I don't know why you ever question your whipping. Your whipping is exceptional. It is perfect. It's a color changing material.
Yeah.
But it is so tidy. It's crazy. It's absolutely beautiful. This is another beautiful piece using velvet.
Yep. A little bit of velvet in the corners.
Yeah. I love this. And you did a real interesting color substitution with the orange color for the eyes. Another unexpected choice. But it does give it such a distinctive look. The texture is just crazy on this piece. Absolutely love it. Let's look at the piece under here. And I want to remind you, when we were together 2 summers ago for the 4th of July, right? We were in New Hampshire. We did a video on the Bee and Me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to link it to this video here because we spent some time looking at this. And yeah.
We don't need to revisit.
No, but I want to remind everybody that the video is there. And I'll put the link to it in the description of this video because this is an exceptional, they're all exceptional, but this one has different tricks, right? You've done different tricks in here.
Yeah.
And you've even done the whiskers differently in here. Like you rethink everything every time. And I just don't want you to forget about this piece. We did a really long video on this, talking about all different aspects of it. And if you love these conversations about hooking with really unusual materials, doing this style of hooking, very bohemian and painterly style of hooking, then that is another video because it's much more technical than what we're doing now. That is another video that you'll want to see. There's the bee. So pretty. And now we get to see what you're working on right now.
Right, which is Kitty.
Kitty. Here, let me stand up. Oh, Kitty. Kitty is looking amazing. And again, so one of the obvious things that jumps out is whiskers different again. You are doing standing wool for whiskers this time.
Yep.
And so how does one do this?
You can kind of see right here. Yeah. It's just stitched on.
Yeah.
I don't know the proper way. This is
that's
how
the way.
this
That's
is
the
how
way.
I put them on.
Yep, that's absolutely the way. So you have got these pieces of, is it sweater material or is it
It's
wool?
blanket. I think it's
Jiminy Cricket.
I think it's an old army blanket.
Yeah, it's thick.
I was looking for as stiff as you can get.
Yep. That is really good. So this is how you do it. You just stitch the bottom of it to your backing material, and then you're filling in with your loops, business as usual, and you end up getting whiskers that stand up like that.
Yep. So they're intentionally a little bit higher than the background.
That looks amazing. Let me take a side view of that. That looks just delicious. And this is a real close-up. This is a different kind of composition for you.
Yes.
Yeah, real focus on the portrait here.
Yes.
God, look at those eyes. All of that velvet.
Yeah, all this velvet plus a little white fluffy yarn on a black coat. That's a black coat, an old scarf from work.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Right, and this is the same trick. A whole bunch of different things that are almost the same, but not. Right, this is one wool, one material. This is another.
Yeah.
This is sari, I think, through here.
Blues, grays, blacks, purples.
Yep, all of those. A little bit of velvet, a little bit of dark velvet here and up here, a little bit of bright spot. I don't know if I'm going to keep these.
Oh, yeah.
These are still auditioning.
Ooh.
Not sure.
Oh, I love it. I see what you mean, but I love it. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Right.
It is interesting. There's so many cool pieces of material over here.
Right. These are ties.
Yeah.
This one tie, I think a friend gave that to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all different kinds of yarn. Down here, this stuff through here is, I learned how to hand, right here, that's it, right. I learned how to hand, drop spindle.
Yes.
Which I'd never done before, so that was cool. This is a little nylon. This is a ribbon.
Yeah, just straight up ribbon,
Just
right?
straight up ribbon. A couple different kinds of sari. That's another piece of that same scarf, a different color. What else? More just ribbon with black and white.
Oh, yeah, the ladder ribbon. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh.
This is camel, a camel coat that I cut up. I guess that was probably naughty. Someone just cringed. But
no, I mean, it's really serving its purpose, right? It's really got a place here.
yeah, little scarf in through here.
Oh, my God.
And then, like we saw in Wilma, a whole bunch of different whites, all just gentle, different shades, but with the brightest, bluest white up here in the center where it would be brightest, and on the cheeks and on the tip of the chin.
Oh, my God. It's so good to look at it close up. It looks really good, at least what I'm looking at on the phone. You can see everything in this crazy, like, stretchy metallic.
Yep.
Whoa. Whoa. And now, like, so when you do a piece like this, and the emphasis really is on the portrait of the cat, in the background, is your thought just, like, populate it with, like, greens and flower colors?
Yeah, it's usually like I'm thinking garden.
Yeah.
I think I haven't worked on this in a little while. I think I'm a little stuck because these are just single pops and they don't look good when it's photographed. I think it looks nice here, but it's a little weird when it's photographed.
I mean, I gotta say, if it photographs like it's looking through the camera right now, I have to admit, sometimes, not your stuff always looks perfect. Sometimes with my stuff, sometimes when I do stuff that's really mixed media, I really need a good day to photograph it, like a good day outside where it's not too sunny, but it's not. I find it very hard to photograph mixed texture stuff because it doesn't all sing under the same light.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't seem to have that problem. So I always wonder where you photograph your stuff because I always have that problem.
Kitchen island.
Okay.
With the down drop light.
Okay. So you found like the, Brigadoon in the kitchen. Yeah. I'm going to have to, it's something to think about because with so many different textures and surfaces, right? In heights, it can be hard to get all the nuances. That's the thing when you do a piece like this that has so many different kinds of materials. You should photo it as often as possible, so you see the pieces going in and you capture them as best you can. Right. I think the video captures this really well. Let's flip it back over.
A room between.
All right. So you were just saying with this piece and some of the other pieces we just looked at that you're planning some more projects along the same lines.
Right. I am planning a book. I'm planning a book on cats and hooking the cats. And it's going to have some existing patterns and it's going to have some new patterns. And I've got them all picked out. I've got the outline done. And the pattern I was just mentioning, the tabby cat pattern, is going to be in the book, the pattern we were looking at over there. The cat with the fish in his mouth.
Yes.
That's going to be...
You don't want to show... That's a secret, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
It is a good pattern. It's a really good pattern. But while we're at it, since we have room left in the video, do you want to show your system in here for working your yarns?
Sure.
Let's do that. So let me flip us around again. So we were just sitting over here, and this is the area you use as like your studio space. But then you have got what some people would call the wall of shame, but I would call this the wall of delight.
Oh, it's the wall of delight.
Absolute, at
wall
least.
Of shame.
No
way.
No. So you've got everything color coded here, right, in your system. You've got everything safely locked up in containers, right? So nothing's getting in there. Yep. And I happen to know from being here that this is your current box of treasures.
Right. This is the box that's working, the stuff that's pulled besides what I just bought for the other thing. When we went out to...
we just went shopping.
Yeah.
And you commented that you loved this scarf that you found and you bought it and you think you'll wear it for a while and then you're going to rip it apart.
I have a winter coat that is dark green and black. And so I'll wear that maybe a couple times and then I'm going to take it apart because it obviously belongs in my rugs.
It does. It's one of your colors, right? It's totally your color palette.
And this is the set of things that I was looking at. We saw tons of this.
Yes.
This is a tie.
Yep.
A silk tie.
See, that worked so well in that piece. Who would ever think? Because it's like a really conservative tie, right? I mean, it's the kind everybody can find, and it worked really well in that cat. Man,
And here's
The Noro.
a
Yep.
Noro in the same colors as that custom.
Absolutely was.
Piece.
Yep. You're big on greens, but you do a lot of naturalist
Mm-hmm.
stuff outside with gardens, and now that's some nice color choices.
Yeah, so this is Frio. We were talking about this a few minutes ago. just
that
between
brand
us.
is in, that mill is in Vermont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
mill is in Vermont. And I think you should go at some point if you can.
Oh, I gotta.
So I thought, sky.
Yeah.
You know, they're thinking
Oh.
sweater, but I'm thinking sky.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
All the little nuances that is going to get you.
yeah. So, you know, something like this is invaluable. Like the wool does the work for you.
You do a lot with the dusty rose that changes color, and this must be the source of all of that goodness.
Yep.
Because you use so many pieces in what you use so many clips that you must have a ton left over, and you do. So you must use small quantities of most things, right? Like of this, we've definitely seen that in a few pieces.
So what will eventually happen to this is I'll end up going, I need this color in the middle, and I'll wind a bunch off, snip it.
I see.
Wind a bunch off, snip it. Is that what you mean?
That's sort of what I mean. What I mean is, like, when you say you buy this, right, at Freya in Vermont, you're not going to use that in one project. Like, I would use that as the background.
Yeah,
we're going to see this for the next 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can see that in the rugs.
Yes.
Like I have like 5 or 6 different white yarns.
Yes.
In different sizes, and you see that in the white cat
Yeah.
and the white chicken.
And we'll see them again until they're gone.
Right.
And your greens too. Right? Well, but yeah, I love the way you do that because you have so many. This is very enabling talk, but because you have so many yarns, you're able to just use a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then you do these effects where you've got such a small quantity of each individual in. This is probably got 50 different yarns in it, you know.
At least.
And
it I don't ever throw. It's not that I don't ever throw anything away. It's that nothing is defined as trash.
No, it all works. I mean, you know that this is like a blanket. I mean, you know where everything is and you remember where it came from. And your storage system really is fantastic. Are you doing it by color?
Yeah, they're all organized by color.
Okay.
So when I'm working on the black of the cat, I can pull out the blacks. When I'm working on, I need a dark green. Here's my dark greens. Here's light blues and aquas. We got salmon pinks, another light blues. You know, we got the reds down there. There's some tans. This is missing its thing. There's a dark brown, tans, and you know, some stuff. Like this is a project box. That's why it's mixed. This is the Vail Valley Sun.
Oh God, yeah.
So this one never got unboxed because I can't make myself do it.
No, it's so delicious. So when you say this is your current box, did you put this together when you started working on it, or did they come together as you grabbed for different colors?
Both. I knew what I wanted. I went and picked up, I picked up my blacks, I picked up my whites, I picked up a bunch of browns, started there, and then just, augmented as I needed. When I got bored with what I was, it was like, well, this is a little too much of this.
Good
Time
Lord.
for something else.
Good Lord. Well, this is I love your system. It's good to see other people's methods.
Exactly.
Right. Because sometimes we're at a loss and we just have piles of crap all over the place and you've got baskets and boxes and Ziploc bags. It's good to know how other people stay controlled, right? And so, because you don't want to waste your precious hooking time searching for things, do you?
No.
If you can help it.
No. I mean, that's just frustrating to have to open up multiple things and you can't find it and you possess it and where is it?
Oh, God. You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I want to do some more videos. So we'll log off for this one, but I have loved this selection of mostly cats. It included Frisbee Dog and Wilma. But we'll just say for this section, mostly cats. And we will see you next time at Ribbon Candy Hooking.
Bye.